Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now today we are talking about a guy named Bao Phuc Cao. That's how Google told me to pronounce it, so don't come for me. He is a University of Melbourne student who secretly filmed a lot of women in toilets. He had multiple offences already and had already been sentenced before, but still avoided a conviction in court. It's a case that's so frustrating and it's made obviously a lot of people angry, not just because of what he did, but because what that decision in court means for women's safety. So Bao is a student studying biomedicine at the University of Melbourne, a woman who is using a bathroom at a place called Chipmunks Playland and Cafe Docklands. She went to the toilet and noticed an iPhone pointing at her. She ran out, got security. When they came in, they found Bao hiding. And just before I move on, the place he was recording these women at was a children's play area. For some reason that didn't seem to matter in his sentencing, although that's very noncy. So he was arrested and police found that he had recorded hundreds of women secretly while they were using the bathrooms. These are private spaces where women have every right to believe that they are safe, but still they are not. So court documents said that there were multiple recordings. It's not clear whether it was multiple of the same women over and over again, or if these were literally like hundreds of different women, but there were a lot, and this wasn't his first time being caught for similar offences. This was repeated behaviour, and this is important. This was not the first time he had been sentenced for this, it was his third. Before this latest case he had already been in court, not that long before this recent one. He had previously received community correction orders for very similar types of the voyeurism offences. That means the court already knew that this was not his first time doing something like this to women. He'd already been caught. He'd already been given a chance to change his behaviour, obviously received no punishment, and went on to do the same thing again. Why am I not surprised? I think for a lot of people this is where the case stops making much sense. Because if someone's already been sentenced for the same offence again, you'd think the consequences might get a little stronger. They've obviously shown that they do not care, and they think they can get away with it, not think, they can get away with it, and they know that, and they're doing it again. He's shown he does not care. His third time, and facing practically no consequences. Like, of course he keeps doing it. The courts are allowing him to do this. What's also so frustrating about this case is that the magistrate herself said how this offence caused real harm to these women. The court heard how the victim, the one who found him, how she had become very anxious and hypervigilant out in public, and that it caused her a lot of anxiety. And the magistrate said that women are entitled to feel safe in these public bathrooms. And also, yes, she. The magistrate, the one who sentenced him, she, a woman. Bitch, whose side are you on? Come on. I'm assuming if this happened to her, she wouldn't care then, right? What I found very interesting about something she said was that she described the crimes as not physically violent, but still extremely invasive, because he filmed women in such a vulnerable state. So the court did recognise that this crime was serious, but despite that, no conviction. I find it very disturbing that she had to say, well, they weren't physically violent crimes. And I think that's exactly it. They're waiting for these type of men to commit violence against women, to then actually do something about these men. Because they are violent. They're always violent. Why do you have to wait for women to be harmed to do something about it? And that's if they do something about it when they do end up committing a more violent crime. And when he does commit a violent crime, maybe they'll use the same excuse. He's too young for prison. He has a future. I'm just not convinced that they would actually do something to help women, to keep them safe. So the reason he wasn't convicted comes down to something in the law called the principle of totality. So the magistrate said that these offences should have been sentenced at the same time as his previous convictions, the ones that he'd already been punished for. So because of that, the court decided it wouldn't be fair to add a harsher punishment on top of the ones he'd already received. So instead of a conviction, he was placed on a good behaviour bond and told to just continue following the existing community correction order that he'd been put on previously. So the court took into account his guilty plea, his age, and the fact that he was already under court orders, and that's why he walked free. So they thought punishment had already been dealt as part of the earlier case, even though it was his third offence, and they all thought it was serious. Not serious enough. Not enough to protect women, but always enough to protect men. The whole case just really makes you question whether the system protects victims. I don't know, what do you guys find it more frustrating that it was a female magistrate who said all of that and let him walk free? I don't know, I would just expect as a woman she might understand how violating it would feel to have this done. But I don't know, maybe she just preferred to protect young men instead. It just makes me wonder, how many chances can someone get before they eventually say enough is enough? I feel like he'll probably get a few more chances in there. You know, he'll push his luck. He will. They always do. So, Bao Phuc Cow. Remember his name. I think his name should be out there. So please share this video. Really get his name out there and just show the world, show Melbourne how awful the system is to allow this to happen, and how awful this young man is. And talk about it. Have these conversations. They're uncomfortable, but they need to be heard. Subscribe for more if you want. We talk about real cases over here. We're very women focused over here, so if you're into that, or if you're not, join. I like to talk about the uncomfortable topics, the ones that people tell you not to talk about. That's the fun spot. And I won't shut up until women are actually safe everywhere. These conversations aren't going anywhere. So you might as well join. Bye bye.